The massive alien ship appeared suddenly at the edge of Earth's solar system. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built, a dark shape against the stars that blocked out the light from distant suns. Soon, more ships joined it. 10, 20, 50, until 100 enormous vessels floated in space, waiting. Commander Joe Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant and watched the main screen with narrow eyes. At 45, Joe had spent most of his life in space, but he had never seen anything like this. His short brown hair was going gray at the temples and the lines around his eyes deepened as he frowned. "How many are there now?" he asked. Lieutenant Wendy Parker looked up from her console. 103, sir, and they're still coming." Joe nodded slowly. Earth had known this day would come. Humans had been exploring nearby star systems for almost 50 years. It was only a matter of time before one of the older alien races noticed them. "Any messages?" he asked. "Nothing yet, sir," said Communications Officer Gary White. "They're just watching." The door to the bridge slid open and Admiral Susan Green walked in. Everyone straightened in their seats. At 60, Susan was the most respected officer in Earth's fleet. Her silver hair was cut short, and her blue uniform was perfectly pressed. She had fought in the Mars Rebellion and had more combat experience than anyone else in the service. "Status report," she said. Joe turned to face her. 103 alien vessels at the edge of the system, Admiral. No communication yet. Susan's face remained calm, but Joe knew her well enough to see the worry in her eyes. Earth's total defense fleet consisted of just 12 ships. The Defiant was the largest, and it was only a quarter of the size of the smallest alien vessel they could see on the screen. "Open a channel," Susan ordered. "All frequencies, let's introduce ourselves." Gary's fingers moved across his console. "Channel open, Admiral." Susan stepped forward. "This is Admiral Susan Green of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with your people." For a long moment there was no response. Then the screen flickered and an alien face appeared. It had pale blue skin, large black eyes, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its thin lips barely moved, but everyone on the bridge heard its words in perfect English. "I am High Commander Zex of the Galactic Concord. We have been observing your world for some time. Your species has developed faster than expected." Joe felt a chill run down his spine. They had been watching Earth? For how long? Susan showed no reaction. "We are pleased to make contact with the Galactic Concord. We hope this will be the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is possible, but it comes with conditions. The Concord has ruled this sector of the galaxy for 10,000 years. All intelligent species must join under our leadership or face the consequences. We would be interested in learning more about joining your Concord," Susan said carefully. "Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss terms." The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "Very well. We will send a delegation to your world in 24 hours. Prepare your leaders." The screen went black. Gary looked up from his console. "They've closed the channel, Admiral." Susan turned to Joe. "What do you think, Commander?" Joe shook his head. "I don't like it. They don't seem interested in equal relations, and they've been watching us without making contact. That's not a good sign." "I agree," Susan said. "Alert all Earth Defense Force ships. I want everyone at battle stations, and contact Earth Central Command. The President needs to know what's happening." 24 hours later, Joe stood in the great meeting hall of the United Earth Government in Geneva. The room was filled with people: the President, her cabinet, military leaders, and scientists. At the center of the room, a delegation of 5 aliens stood on a raised platform. High Commander Zex spoke in that same perfect English. "The terms of joining the Galactic Concord are simple. You will accept our governors on your world. You will pay a resource tax of 30% of all production. You will provide soldiers for the Concord military when required. In return, you will receive protection and limited access to Concord technology." President Laura Mitchell frowned. At 65, she had led Earth through difficult times before, but nothing like this. "These terms seem very one-sided, High Commander. Earth would lose its independence. You misunderstand, said Zex. This is not a negotiation. These are the terms for all new species. The alternative is war. And while we respect your accomplishments, your military capability is insufficient. A hologram appeared above the platform showing Earth's 12 defense ships. Next to them, the 100 alien vessels looked impossibly large. We have scanned your vessels, Zex continued. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons would not penetrate our shields. Your small fleet would be destroyed in minutes. Joe felt anger rising in his chest. He glanced at Susan, who stood perfectly still, her face showing nothing. President Mitchell spoke carefully. We would need time to consider these terms. Our government must vote on such an important decision. Zex made that strange laughing sound again. You have 48 hours. If you have not accepted our terms by then, we will demonstrate our power in a way you cannot ignore. After the aliens left, the room erupted in voices. Some wanted to surrender, arguing that Earth couldn't possibly win a war against such advanced aliens. Others insisted they should fight, even if it meant destruction. Joe found himself standing next to Susan near a window that looked out over Lake Geneva. They're going to attack no matter what we decide, Joe said quietly. I saw it in their eyes. They don't respect us. Susan nodded. They've done this before, many times. They find a new species, intimidate them with their big ships and advanced technology, and then take over. So what do? Our fleet is tiny compared to theirs. For the first time that day, Susan smiled. It was a small, dangerous smile that didn't reach her eyes. They're judging us by the size of our ships, Joe. That's their mistake. She turned to look at him directly. Did you notice how confident they were after scanning our vessels? They think they know everything about our capabilities. Joe began to understand. They only see what we want them to see. Susan nodded. Exactly. Project Shadowfall has been our best-kept secret for 15 years. Those 12 ships aren't our real defense force. They're just what we let the rest of the galaxy see. Joe felt a surge of hope. Project Shadowfall. The hidden fleet. The advanced weapon systems, the technology that Earth's best scientists had developed in secret, knowing this day would come. They laughed at our small fleet, said Susan, her voice hardening. Let's see if they're still laughing when they find out what humanity is really capable of. After the meeting with the aliens, Earth's leaders gathered in a secure underground facility beneath Geneva. The room was plain with metal walls and a large round table. Maps and screens covered the walls, showing Earth's defenses and the alien fleet's position. President Laura Mitchell stood at the head of the table. We have less than 48 hours to prepare. Admiral Green, tell us about Project Shadowfall. Admiral Susan Green nodded and pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared, showing what looked like ordinary asteroids throughout the solar system. For 15 years, we've been building our real fleet in secret, Susan explained. These aren't asteroids. They're disguised shipyards and weapon platforms. We have 50 ships, not 12, and they're equipped with technology we developed after studying the alien crash site in Arizona 30 years ago. Commander Joe Miller watched the faces around the table. Some showed surprise, others relief. Not everyone had known about the secret fleet. Why keep this secret from our own people? Asked the Chinese representative. Because the Conquered has been watching us, Susan replied. They have spies and observation posts. We needed them to underestimate us. Now that strategy will pay off. Joe stepped forward. There's more. Our visible ships are equipped with older technology, but underneath they're carrying weapon systems the aliens won't expect. President Mitchell looked around the table. We need to make a decision. Do we pretend to accept their terms and then fight later, or do we stand up to them now? Defense Secretary Bill Howard shook his head. If we pretend to surrender, they'll establish bases on Earth. It would be harder to fight them then. I agree, said Susan. We need to face them now, while they still think we're weak. Their overconfidence is our advantage. President Mitchell took a deep breath. Then we fight. Admiral Green, you have command of all Earth forces. What's your plan? Susan smiled. We're going to give them exactly what they expect, at first. For the next 24 hours, every military base on Earth buzzed with activity. But nothing was visible from space. The aliens would see only what appeared to be a planet preparing to surrender. In a hidden base inside the moon, Captain Olivia Carter supervised final preparations for the lunar defense batteries. These massive guns had been built in secret over the past decade. From the outside, they looked like ordinary craters. Power systems at 100%, reported a young engineer named Rick Davis. Olivia nodded. Good. Keep them powered down until we get the signal. We don't want the aliens detecting our energy signature. Meanwhile, on the USS Defiant, Joe worked with his crew to prepare for battle. The ship's real weapons remained hidden behind false panels and shields that blocked alien scans. How are the quantum torpedoes? Joe asked his weapons officer, Tim Nelson. Ready to go, sir, Tim replied. The aliens won't see them coming. Their scans show we only have standard missiles. Joe checked his watch, 20 hours until the deadline. He wondered if the aliens were preparing for battle, or if they really believed Earth would surrender. On the far side of the moon, Lieutenant Frank Nelson led a team of pilots through final simulations. Their ships were small and fast, designed to attack the weak points of larger vessels. Remember, Frank told his pilots, their ships are powerful but slow to turn. Use your speed. Get in close where their big weapons can't target you. One pilot, a young woman named Lisa Chen, raised her hand. What if their technology is more advanced than we think? What if our weapons don't work against them? Frank nodded. It was a good question. That's why we have multiple attack plans. If one fails, we switch to another. Humans are adaptable. That's our greatest strength. At Mission Control in Houston, Director Mary Wilson studied the latest scan data from the alien fleet. Look at this, she said to her team, pointing at a screen. Their ships have a weak spot where the main power conduits connect to the engines. If we can hit them there with our phase disruptors, we might be able to disable them without destroying them. Her assistant, a brilliant young scientist named Alex Rodriguez, looked excited. That would give us a chance to capture their technology intact. Mary nodded. Exactly. Send this data to Admiral Green immediately. As the deadline approached, tension grew. People around the world waited anxiously in their homes. Some prayed, others prepared for the worst. Despite government reassurances, many feared this would be humanity's last day. 6 hours before the deadline, Joe was called to an emergency meeting on the Defiant. Admiral Green had received new intelligence. The aliens are planning to attack. Early, Susan told the assembled officers. They don't believe we'll surrender, so they're going to hit us before the deadline to catch us unprepared. Joe wasn't surprised. How much time do we have? 2 hours, maybe less, Susan replied. They're moving their fleet into attack position now. On the main screen, they could see the alien vessels spreading out, preparing to enter Earth's inner solar system. Should we launch our hidden fleet now? Asked Captain Steve Jackson of the USS Intrepid. Susan shook her head. Not yet. Let them commit to their attack first. We need them to believe their plan is working. Joe understood the strategy. If Earth revealed its true strength too soon, the aliens might pull back and return with an even larger force. They needed to trap the conquered fleet and deal them a decisive blow. All ships prepare for combat, Susan ordered. But remember, show only your visible weapons until I give the signal. Let them think they're winning. Joe returned to his ship and addressed his crew. The aliens are coming earlier than expected. They think we're weak and unprepared. They're laughing at our small fleet. He paused, looking at the determined faces before him. But they don't know what humanity is capable of when our backs are against the wall. Today we show them. Throughout the solar system, hidden ships powered up their engines. Inside the moon, massive guns silently turned toward their targets. On Earth, missile silos disguised as farms and factories prepared to launch. In space, the alien fleet moved closer, their massive ships dwarfing Earth's visible defenses. They were confident, expecting an easy victory against a primitive species. They had no idea what was waiting for them. High Commander Zex stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched Earth's pitiful fleet on the main screen. Begin the attack, he ordered. "Show them the price of defiance." The first alien weapons fired, powerful energy beams streaming toward Earth's ships. The battle for humanity's future had begun. The alien energy beams cut through space toward Earth's ships. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Commander Joe Miller gripped the arms of his chair. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered calmly, "just like we practiced." The Defiant swerved, barely avoiding the deadly beam. Around it, the other 11 Earth ships did the same, moving in patterns that seemed random but were carefully planned. "Return fire," Joe said. "Conventional weapons only." Earth's ships fired missiles that looked ordinary but contained special tracking systems. Most were shot down by alien defenses, but a few hit their targets. The explosions were small, barely damaging the massive alien ships. On his flagship, High Commander Zex laughed. "Is this the best they can do? Their weapons are like toys against our shields." His second-in-command, a blue-skinned alien named Krell, nodded. "They are primitive. This will be over quickly." Zex leaned forward. "Target their largest vessel. Let's show them our power." A massive energy beam shot from the alien flagship toward the Defiant. It hit directly and the ship shuddered. "Damage report," Joe shouted over the sound of alarms. Lieutenant Wendy Parker checked her console. "Outer hull damaged, sir. Shields at 60%. "Make it look worse," Joe ordered. "Vent some atmosphere. Let them think they've hurt us badly." Clouds of gas escaped from the Defiant, making it appear seriously damaged. The aliens took the bait. "Their flagship is crippled," Krell reported to Zex. "Shall we finish it?" "No," Zex replied. "Let it suffer. Target their other vessels. Destroy them one by one while their leader watches." The alien fleet spread out, firing at Earth's small fleet from all directions. The human ships dodged and weaved, occasionally taking hits that looked worse than they really were. Admiral Susan Green watched from a hidden command center inside the moon. "They're completely focused on our visible fleet," she said. "It's time for Phase 2. Commander Miller, are you ready?" Joe's voice came through clearly. "Ready, Admiral. The Defiant is wounded but operational." "Good," Susan said. "Commander Foster, begin your approach." Hidden behind Mars, Commander Alan Foster and 3 small Earth ships powered up their engines. These vessels had been waiting silently, concealed by the red planet's magnetic field. "All ships activate stealth systems," Alan ordered. "Target the rear of their fleet. Hit their communication arrays first." The 3 ships moved swiftly toward the aliens, completely invisible to their scanners. Each carried special EMP missiles designed to disable rather than destroy. As the main battle continued near Earth, Alan's ships approached the rear of the alien fleet. "Fire," he commanded. The EMP missiles streaked silently through space and hit 5 alien ships before anyone noticed. Suddenly, communication systems went dead across those vessels. They couldn't call for help or coordinate with the rest of the fleet. On his flagship, Zex frowned as status reports stopped coming in from several ships. "What's happening?" Krell looked confused. "We've lost contact with 5 vessels, Commander. They're not responding to signals." "How is this possible?" Zex demanded. "Scan the area, find what's attacking them." But the stealth technology on Alan's ships was working perfectly. The aliens couldn't see what was hitting them. Alan's voice came through Susan's communication system. "First strike successful, Admiral. 5 enemy ships disabled. Moving to secondary targets." Susan nodded. "Well done. Lieutenant Brown, you're up next." Lieutenant Kate Brown sat in the cockpit of her small stealth ship, the Mosquito. It was tiny, compared to the alien vessels, but extremely fast and agile, and it carried a weapon the aliens had never seen before. "Roger that, Admiral," Kate replied. "Beginning my run now." Kate piloted the Mosquito between 2 massive alien ships. They were so focused on the battle ahead that they didn't notice her approach. When she was in position, she released her payload. Millions of microscopic nanites programmed to eat through alien hull metal. The tiny machines attached themselves to the alien ships and began their work, burrowing through the outer hull like invisible termites. Alarms began to sound throughout the affected vessels as air started to escape through thousands of tiny holes. "We're losing pressure in sections 12 through 20. An alien officer shouted to Krell. "Something is penetrating our hull." Krell stared at the readings in disbelief. "This is impossible. There's nothing there." On another part of the battlefield, one of Earth's visible ships took a direct hit and exploded in a ball of fire. The aliens cheered, believing they were winning. They didn't realize the crew had already evacuated to a stealth vessel hiding nearby. "One of their ships destroyed," Krell reported. 11 remaining. Zex nodded in satisfaction. "Continue the attack. They can't hold out much longer." But strange things were happening throughout the alien fleet. Ships were losing power. Communications were failing. Holes appeared in hulls with no explanation, and still they couldn't see what was attacking them. Susan watched the battle from her command center. "They're confused," she said. "It's time for Phase 3. Captain Carter, power up the lunar batteries." Inside the moon, Captain Olivia Carter gave the order. "All batteries online. Target the alien flagship." Massive guns hidden in lunar craters emerged from their hiding places. They had been disguised as natural features, invisible to alien scans. Now they revealed themselves, turning toward the alien fleet. "Fire," Olivia ordered. Energy beams shot from the moon's surface, more powerful than anything the aliens had seen from Earth's ships. They cut through space and hit the alien flagship, penetrating its shields as if they weren't there. On his bridge, Zex was thrown to the floor as his ship shook violently. "What was that?" he shouted. Krell stared at the view screen in shock. "The attack came from their moon. They have weapons hidden there." Zex couldn't believe it. They had scanned the moon thoroughly before the battle. There had been no signs of weapons. How had the humans hidden them? As the lunar batteries continued firing, Admiral Susan Green gave the order they had all been waiting for. "All hidden vessels, reveal yourselves. Attack pattern Omega. Let's show them what humanity's fleet can really do." Throughout the solar system, what had appeared to be asteroids and space debris suddenly changed. 50 warships, each armed with advanced weapons, appeared as if from nowhere. They had been there all along, watching and waiting. The aliens stared at their screens in shock as Earth's true fleet revealed itself. The small fleet they had laughed at was just a decoy. The real battle was about to begin. High Commander Zex stared at the view screen in disbelief. Where there had been empty space moments before, 50 Earth warships now appeared. They had been invisible to alien scanners until now. "Impossible," Zex whispered. "How did they hide an entire fleet?" His second-in-command, Krell's blue skin, had turned pale. "Commander, we're surrounded." It was true. Earth's hidden ships had taken position all around the alien fleet. The hunters had become the hunted. Admiral Susan Green's voice came through, on all communication channels, even the alien ones. "This is Admiral Green of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now." Zex slammed his fist on the control panel. "Never. The Galactic Concord does not surrender to primitives. All ships, full attack." The alien vessels turned to face the new threat, firing their powerful weapons at Earth's revealed fleet. But the human ships were faster and more agile than they expected. They moved in complex patterns, dodging the alien fire while launching their own attacks. On the USS Defiant, Commander Joe Miller watched the battle unfold. "Status report on the alien flagship?" Lieutenant Wendy Parker studied her console. "Their shields are weakened from the lunar battery strike. They're vulnerable, sir." Joe nodded. "Target their engines. Fire quantum torpedoes." Hidden compartments on the Defiant's hull slid open, revealing weapons the aliens hadn't detected in their scans. Bright blue torpedoes shot out, moving so fast they were almost invisible. They hit the alien flagship's engines in a series of explosions that rocked the massive vessel. On his ship, Zex struggled to stay on his feet as systems failed around him. "Return fire! Destroy that ship!" But the Defiant was already moving away, too quick for the alien gunners to target. Throughout the battlefield, Earth's ships attacked with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Lieutenant Frank Nelson led a squadron of small, fast fighters that darted between the massive alien vessels. Their ships were too small for the aliens' main weapons to target effectively. "Stay in their blind spots. Frank ordered his pilots. Target their weapon arrays and communication systems. The fighters flew in patterns that confused the alien gunners. They fired precise shots that disabled key systems rather than trying to destroy the massive ships entirely. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Kate Brown's nanites continued their work, eating through hull plating on several alien vessels. Atmosphere vented into space, forcing the aliens to seal off sections of their ships. Some vessels were now operating with only half their crew stations manned. "Admiral," Kate reported, "nanite deployment successful on 7 enemy ships. Their hulls are compromised." Susan nodded. "Good work, Lieutenant. Continue the attack." From the lunar base, Captain Olivia Carter directed the massive defense batteries. Each shot was carefully aimed at alien shield generators and weapon systems. "Battery 3, target the ship at coordinates 227 by 184, she ordered. "Battery 5, hit the one trying to retreat." Energy beams shot from the moon's surface, striking with precision that shocked the aliens. Their ships, thought to be invulnerable, were being disabled one by one. On the battlefield, the tide was turning. 3 alien ships had been completely disabled, their engines and weapons destroyed. Several more were damaged and struggling to fight back. The Earth fleet moved with coordination that seemed impossible for a primitive species. In his command center on the alien flagship, Zex couldn't understand what was happening. "How are they doing this? Their technology shouldn't be this advanced." Krell shook his head. "They deceived us, Commander. They showed us only what they wanted us to see." "No," Zex shouted. "I won't be defeated by these humans. Prepare the gravity weapon." Krell looked alarmed. "But Commander, using that in such close quarters could affect our own ships." "I don't care. Do it now." In the center of the alien flagship, a massive device powered up. It was designed to create a gravity distortion field that would crush enemy ships like tin cans. It was a weapon of last resort, dangerous to use in the middle of a space battle where friendly ships might be caught in its effect. On the Defiant, Joe's sensors detected the power buildup. "Admiral, they're activating some kind of gravity weapon." "Energy readings are off the charts." Susan's voice remained calm. "This is what we expected. They always use this weapon when they're losing. Commander Miller, initiate countermeasures." Joe turned to his engineering officer, Dan Rogers. "Activate the gravity shields." Dan pressed a sequence of buttons on his console. "Gravity shields. Online, sir. All ships in the fleet have acknowledged the order." The alien gravity weapon fired, creating a wave of distorted spacetime that spread outward from their flagship. It was designed to compress matter, crushing any ship caught in its field. But as the wave hit Earth's vessels, something unexpected happened. Instead of being crushed, the human ships activated their own gravity manipulation technology. They not only resisted the weapon's effects, but redirected the energy back toward the alien fleet. On his flagship, Zex watched in horror as 3 of his own ships were caught in the reflected gravity wave. They imploded, crushed by their own weapon. "How?" he gasped. "That's impossible. They can't have gravity manipulation technology. They're not advanced enough." But the evidence was right in front of him. Somehow these humans had developed technology that the Conquered thought was beyond them. Not only that, they had improved on it. Throughout the solar system, the battle continued to turn in Earth's favor. The alien ships, so confident at the start, were now fighting desperately just to survive. Their formations broke apart as each captain tried to save his own vessel. Susan watched from her command center, her face showing no emotion. "They're beginning to retreat. Cut off their escape routes. I want their flagship isolated." Earth's fleet moved with precision, surrounding the alien flagship while preventing the other ships from coming to its aid. The lunar batteries continued firing, targeting any alien vessel that tried to approach. On the Defiant, Joe received new orders from Admiral Green. "Commander Miller, prepare a boarding party. We're taking their flagship." Joe nodded. "Yes, Admiral." He turned to his security chief. "Major Ryan Bell, assemble your team, full combat gear." Major Bell, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, nodded. "Yes, sir, we're ready." As the Defiant moved closer to the crippled alien flagship, Zex watched with growing dread. His mighty ship, once the pride of the Concorde fleet, was now powerless, its engines destroyed and weapons offline. How did it come to this? He asked no one in particular. How could we have been so wrong about them? Krell had no answer. They had underestimated the humans in every possible way. They had laughed at Earth's small fleet, never imagining it was just a decoy. Now they were about to pay the price for that mistake. On his console, a new alert appeared. "Commander," Krell said, his voice shaking, "they're preparing to board us." Major Ryan Bell led his boarding team through the dark corridors of the alien flagship. 20 soldiers in space armor moved quietly behind him, weapons ready. They had docked with the damaged alien ship 5 minutes ago. "Stay alert," Ryan told his team. "We don't know what we'll find in here." The inside of the alien ship was strange. The corridors were taller and wider than on human vessels. The lighting gave everything a blue glow. The air smelled different, but their suits filtered it so they could breathe safely. Meanwhile, another team had boarded the ship from a different direction. Captain Linda Cooper led a small group of computer specialists toward the alien command center. Their job wasn't to fight but to hack into the ship's systems. "This way," Linda whispered, following directions on her wrist computer. The main computer should be 2 levels up. Her team moved through maintenance tunnels, avoiding alien crew members. They weren't there to engage in combat if they could avoid it. Their mission was too important. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Commander Joe Miller watched the operation on his screen. "Status report on the boarding teams?" Lieutenant Wendy Parker studied her console. "Major Bell's team is approaching the bridge. Captain Cooper's team is nearly at the main computer core. No casualties so far." Joe nodded. "Good. And the rest of the alien fleet?" "Still surrounded, sir. 5 ships have surrendered. The others are disabled or trying to retreat. Our fleet is in pursuit." In her command center inside the moon, Admiral Susan Green monitored all aspects of the battle. Earth's hidden fleet had performed better than even she had expected. The aliens were in full retreat, their mighty armada broken. "Admiral," a communications officer reported, "we're getting surrender signals from more alien ships. 7 more have powered down weapons." Susan allowed herself a small smile. "Accept their surrender. Have our ships escort them to the holding position near Mars." Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, High Commander Zex prepared for his last stand. He and his bridge crew had sealed themselves in the command center. They had weapons and were determined to fight to the end. "The humans will not take me alive," Zex told his officers. "We will destroy this ship before allowing it to fall into their hands." His second-in-command, Krell, looked uncertain. "Is that necessary, Commander? Perhaps we should—" "Silence," Zex shouted. "The Concord does not surrender. Begin the self-destruct." Sequence. An alien officer moved to a control panel, but before he could enter the commands, the doors to the bridge slid open. Major Ryan Bell and his team rushed in, weapons aimed at the alien crew. "Don't move," Ryan ordered. "Hands where we can see them." The alien officers froze, surprised by the sudden appearance of the humans. Zex reached for a weapon, but Ryan was faster. A stun blast hit the alien commander, and he collapsed to the floor. "Bridge secured," Ryan reported into his communicator. "The alien commander is down but alive. We've captured the bridge crew." At the same time, Captain Linda Cooper and her team reached the ship's main computer core. It was a massive room filled with glowing blue columns that pulsed with energy. "Start the hack," Linda ordered. "Remember the priority targets: weapons, systems, ship schematics, and fleet deployment data." Her team connected their devices to the alien computer system. They had spent years preparing for this moment, studying the bits of alien technology that had been recovered from crashed scout ships. Now they were putting that knowledge to use. "I'm in," said tech specialist Jack Wilson. "Their security is complex but exactly what we expected. Downloading ship schematics now." Another specialist, Karen Adams, worked on a different console. "I've accessed their fleet records. The Concord has thousands of ships, but most are spread thin across their territory. This was one of their largest attack groups." Linda nodded. "Keep going. Download everything you can." Meanwhile, throughout the solar system, the battle was ending. The remaining alien ships had either surrendered or been disabled. Earth's fleet surrounded them, weapons still ready in case of treachery. On the Defiant, Joe received reports from all sectors. All alien ships accounted for, sir. 12 destroyed, 45 captured, the rest disabled. He could hardly believe it. They had won. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. In her command center, Admiral Susan Green prepared to address the people of Earth. Camera drones floated in front of her as billions of people waited for news of the battle. "People of Earth," she began, her voice calm and steady. "Today we faced an alien force that sought to conquer our world. They came with a mighty fleet, believing we would be easy to defeat. They laughed at what they thought was our small defense force." She paused, allowing herself a slight smile. "They're not laughing anymore. The alien fleet has been defeated. Some of their ships were destroyed, but most have surrendered. Earth is safe." Cheers erupted around the world as people celebrated the news. In cities and towns, in homes and public spaces, humans embraced each other with relief and joy. 2 days later, a formal surrender ceremony was held aboard the USS Defiant. High Commander Zex, now a prisoner, was brought before Admiral Green. Earth's military leaders and government officials watched as the alien commander was forced to kneel. "Sign the surrender document," Susan ordered, her voice cold. Zex looked up at her with hatred in his large black eyes. How? How did you defeat us? Your technology shouldn't be this advanced. We monitored your world for decades." Susan smiled, slightly. "That was your mistake. You thought you knew us, but you only saw what we wanted you to see. Humanity has always been good at adapting, at finding creative solutions to problems. When we discovered your observation posts 20 years ago, we didn't destroy them. We fed them false information." "Impossible," Zex whispered. "While you watched our decoy fleet, we built our real forces in secret," Susan continued. "We studied the alien technology from crashed scout ships. We improved upon it. Everything we did was with this day in mind." She leaned closer to the alien. "Commander, remember this lesson. Never judge a species by the size of its fleet." Zex reluctantly signed the surrender document. The Galactic Concord had suffered its first major defeat in thousands of years. In the weeks that followed, humanity began to study the captured alien ships. The technology they contained would advance Earth science by centuries. Already, engineers were designing new ships that combined human innovation with alien tech. On the observation deck of the Defiant, Joe stood beside Susan, looking out at the stars. "What happens now?" he asked. Susan's expression was determined. "Now we prepare. The Concord will return eventually with a bigger fleet. But we'll be ready, and next time they won't underestimate us." Joe nodded. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle. The galaxy now knew that Earth was not an easy target. The stars, once a mystery, were now a frontier, one that humanity would face with the same courage and ingenuity that had saved them today. They had been laughed at. They had been underestimated. They had won.